Did LeBron prove anything last night as a closer?
He proved that he can close out a big regular season game. Now, there are 5 different levels of closing and pressure. You have a normal regular season game, Heat, Raptors, Heat, whoever. Okay. You've got a big regular season game, which is what you had last night. You've got early playoff series pressure when you're expected to win against an inferior team. You've got conference finals pressure, which is against a much better team. And if you lose, you've come up short of your goal. And then you've got finals pressure. Okay. He proved last night, and he's proved it many times throughout his career, that he can close out games in the fourth quarter. I've never been hard on LeBron James about regular season closing out games. And he's even closed out some pretty important playoff series. He did not come close to attaining the level of player that he is last year in the NBA Finals. And if people can get this through their head, there's a big difference between playing well on that stage and not playing. Last year, if anyone denies that LeBron James shied away from the moment, did not want the basketball, moved it like a hot potato, did anything he could to not take the responsibility of carrying that team when they needed him, then either, number one, you're just flat out don't know anything about basketball, or you're a blind loyalist to LeBron James. Don't try to insult my intelligence by telling me he just didn't play well in the finals last year. He was terrified of that moment. Anybody that saw that series knew it. So what did I learn about LeBron James last night? I learned that when he plays like that, he's clearly the best player in the NBA. No doubt about it. But what happened last year in the finals is something he's going to have to live with until he gets back to the ultimate level of pressure and actually wants the ball. Make or miss, I'll live with it. 1 for 9 fourth quarters, I'll live with it. Just step up and take on the challenge. He didn't do it last year in the finals. No one's questioning his talent or his ability to make big shots throughout his career. He's done that before. I know LeBron can do that. He didn't do it in the finals last year because he didn't want that responsibility, and he came up short. Now he's going to have to get back there, and he's going to have to play a lot differently.
Okay, I point out in 8 regular seasons in this league, LeBron has one walk-off shot that I know of that he made at Golden State about 5 years ago. He did make the one against Orlando in that playoff series going back 3 years ago. He did his chosen one turns frozen one against the Celtics going back, you remember, two years ago, right? So this was not a new thing that happened in the finals. And I will point out to you, if you go back to the earlier rounds last year, the previous Game 4s in the 3 series against Philly, Boston, Chicago, Game 4, last minute, he blew walk-off a shot and 2 other opportunities. So I saw a consistent pattern of behavior. You're rating what he did last night more than I am, because I think, and this is the phenomenon I want to talk about here, I think most people set the bar lower for him because of his failures. I think most people want him to do better than he's able to do, because he's a good guy, and he has become somewhat the face of the league. So you want him, you want to be able to say, look, he did that last night. So I sit back, and again, I'm looking at it as glass half empty, and I respect your basketball knowledge, but I thought you were going a little too far in him to close the game last night. That's overstating what he did. He didn't score a point in the last 3 minutes and 40 seconds of the game. He took 2 jump shots that were potential clinchers in the game and missed both of those. He had a late turnover. And I know I'm nitpicking, but I'm saying he did nothing in the last 3:40 of the game. But what he did great was from 6 minutes down to 3-minute mark, he actually played point guard. And as you said last night on ESPN, he took the game over. He ran the show. He drove and he dished. He set up Battier for those 2 threes. He helped set up Bosh for what was the big shot of the night, was made by Chris Bosh. So I love the way he took the basketball and took control and played with no fear of failure last night. And I haven't seen that for a while.
Agreed.
So that was huge. But it's so funny. I think we all give him somewhat of a pass here because he's a 2-time MVP, and we're saying, look, progress, right?
Here's how I looked at it. That to me, obviously I've said it before, I think that's a finals preview. Incredible intensity. I thought that was the most intense game I've watched all year. Very physical. I love the fact that he took the basketball in his hands from the 6-minute mark on and wanted to decide
He did.
matters.
I agree.
And I think we put too much emphasis on, the shot. 2-point game, 3-point game, last minute. He had 3 different times during that 6-minute down
He
stretch
got to the rim.
where they were only up by 2. That he got the ball to the basket, took on the contact, didn't care if he got fouled.
You're right.
Because he was confident he could go make the free throws, and he controlled the game. He called for the ball at the top of the key.
They were
ISO'd.
always up in those cases. They were up a little bit.
They were, but it's still, he misses those shots or doesn't take them and they have an empty possession, they might lose that game.
Okay.
So Oklahoma City comes down and scores. Now it's tied. In each case, he put them back up 3 or 4 and set the stage for Bosch to help him out and Battier to make shots. Look, I agree with you. Great players do this all the time.
Yeah, it'd be commonplace.
But for him,
now we're saying, wow.
Yeah, you made a good point. Relative to some of the things we've seen out of LeBron James, last night to me was not necessarily progress because I've seen it, but it's okay, great. You reminded us how good you can be.
Yeah.
Please do this now for the rest of the way in the regular season and all through the playoffs, including the finals. I'd love to see it. I want LeBron to do that and have that moment. I really do. I want to see it. But I can't ignore what I saw in the finals last year and so many people out there that try to jump to his defense, call you a hater and all those things. It's not. It's honest analysis. I know what I watched. I've seen enough basketball. I've been around enough great players to know the difference. And he did not want it. The responsibility in that situation. Now, LeBron, you proved to us last night how good you really can be when you want the basketball to decide it yourself. Do it now all the way through. That's all I want to see out of LeBron James. Just take it. Whether you make it or miss it or make the right play, not everybody does it all the time. Kobe and Michael both missed more than they made historically in pressure moments. They did. Look it up.
They both made a
but
whole lot.
But they took them all. That's the difference.
The interesting thing is, and everybody has a different definition for those game-winning shots at the end, but there is, by one description, it's a shot within 10 seconds with your team down by 2 or 3. You have the ball. Some numbers for you. Kobe Bryant, these are just playoff games, 7 of 25 or 28% in those situations. In those identical situations, using the same measure, LeBron, and I was shocked by this because we tend to remember his misses. LeBron in those same situations, 5 of 12, 41%. He had a make in Game 3 of the Wizards in 06, a make in 06 Game 5, a make in 07 against the Pistons, a make in 07 Game 5 of the Pistons again, and one more in the Orlando shot in 09. So we do remember his misses, and he came up so small last year.
Okay, but those didn't win the game against the Pistons in Game 5 because it went double overtime.
It did. Those were late game situations to either tie or win. So he did it, according to this stat, he did it at the end of regulation and at the end of overtime. The Game 2, the first time was a miss. Game 5, he made it, and again in Game 5 in overtime, a game winner with 2 seconds left. They're out there.
Yeah, I could dispute that, but we don't have time.